So this is a data file that I got from the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, and it violates just about every rule of tidy data that you could possibly violate. Um, it has blank rows in the middle of it. It has the titles are taking up more than one row. Um, and then it has 5 rows of information for each police jurisdiction, but the biggest problem is that the name of the police jurisdiction is only on the first row. It is not attached to all the other rows. And so if I wanted to fix all the tidy data problems in here, I would lose which jurisdiction each row is attached, it belongs to, unless I fix that first. So that's what we're going to do today. The good news is that this does have a pattern, and if statements are really useful whenever you do have a pattern. It took me a little while to figure this pattern out, but it's there. So as I mentioned, there's 5 rows for each jurisdiction, and they're classified in this B column. So the O row means is counting the offenses by the type of crime. The C is indicating how many were cleared that year, and then there's a per capita a rate or percentage of offenses that were cleared, and then there's just a weird row that has the population. And then there's the crime rate, the percent of the crimes per 100,000 people. So all of these are for Aiken, and then you'll see that there's a section for combining all of the police jurisdictions in Anoka County. And then here's the Anoka Sheriff, and here's the Anoka PD, and the Blaine PD, and on. So we want to add, I want to add 4 new columns, one that will put this jurisdiction on all the rows, all 5 rows, one that'll tell us that it's a sheriff versus a PD versus the county total, one that'll put this ID number, this is that sheriff's department's ID number, and then we'll put the population in just for good measure, and we really don't need to repeat the crime rate. So I'm going to break one of my other rules, and I'm going to put these rows over here on the right, or on the left side of the screen, simply because it's a little easier to work, because we need to stay close to this these 2 columns right here, the name of the jurisdiction and the one that indicates what row we're on. So we're going to start by we're going to make this our header row, and we're going to say we'll say this is the agency, and then we're going to say this is the type, and then this is the ID number, and this is the population. I'm going to pull those 4 pieces of information over. So what we're going to do is basically try to figure out, are we on an O row or not as we're going along. So the first one is pretty straightforward. We can say if F9 equals quote capital O quote, and that's an O, not a 0, then we're going to take what's in E9. If not, we're going to take what's in A8, and that doesn't seem logical right now, but it will in a minute. So if I copy this down, you'll see that it's going to switch down here. So what's happened is on here it said, is F9 equal to O? Yeah, it is. So we're going to grab what's in E9. And then when it got here, it said, is F10 equal to O? Well, no, it's not. So then it's going to grab what's in A9, which is the agency we just finished putting in. So in other words, the O indicator is, are we on, is F15 equal to O, is our indicator that we've switched to a new jurisdiction. And if that is false, then we're going to stick with the same jurisdiction all the way down. And the copy down thing probably will not work. So I'll just copy it a ways down. And now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to use the same criteria. If F9 equals capital O, then this time we're going to take E10, which is the one down below. I know that seems weird, and if not, we're going to take B8. So we're going to tell it. It keeps looking down ahead, and so you'll see here that it has automatically guessed that we've now switched to Anoka, and it needs to change it to county total. And then we've switched it to the sheriff in Anoka County, and it switched to sheriff. So all of these are going to be basically the same. If 9 equals O, then now we're going to take E11, which is that ID number, and if not, we're going to take C8, which will be whatever we've just done up above. And you'll see we don't have an ID number here, so it's going to give us a 0. And then we're going to grab that population. If E12, or E9, sorry, E9 equals O, then we're going to take, sorry, F9 equals O. Then we're going to take E12, which is the population. If not, we're going to take D8. There we go. So now once you have these, you can copy, paste special values. Now we could clean up our header rows so that we only have one row. What I usually do is just pick a row that's going to be my total and start putting them in. Oops, I could have left that one, murder, rape, robbery, all the way across, and then eventually you would delete those extraneous pieces of information so you have a single row. So there we go, we got new titles. We'll delete those. You can either clear them or delete them. Now that we have it like this, we can filter and say, let's just take the O rows, and we could filter those, and you could copy and paste them into a separate sheet, which would be much easier for analysis if you're looking, or maybe you might want the rates more likely for comparing agencies, but then you would have them all easily in one place and could fairly compare jurisdictions.